Good evening, everyone. Just to let everyone know, we will start in a few minutes as soon as the mayor gets here. She's running just a couple minutes late, but hopefully we'll get started soon. You can go back to talking now.
Walk all over the place, and so then I would no backup. So,
I don't know about these smoothies.
yeah, just I used to have to because I used to wear leather bottom ones because I was on the athletic color guard. Sustainability.
Environmental study, does that mean sustainability?
Yeah, yeah.
Good evening and welcome to the City Council meeting. Before Mayor Parker calls the meeting to order, we ask that you please silence all electronic devices. City Council meetings are conducted for the official business of the City Council and to receive input from residents. Members of the public attending City Council meetings shall observe rules of decorum and shall not engage in disorderly conduct that interferes with the ability of others to observe or to participate in the meeting without disruption or fear of intimidation, threats, or hostilities. Speakers who engage in any conduct or encourage such conduct that interferes with the meeting, including loud or prolonged yelling, screaming, clapping, or other noise-creating acts which make it difficult for the City Council to conduct or continue with the meeting, will have their mic muted and will be removed from the chambers. For those of you who have requested to speak, there are 2 podiums in the chamber. Each podium has a countdown clock located to the speaker's right that will indicate how much time is remaining. A bell will sound when you have 30 seconds left. Before you begin your comments, please state your name. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeanette, and good evening, everyone. Welcome to your Fort Worth City Council meeting. I'll call us to order.
Tonight's invocation will be given by Reverend Anthony Chapman, Senior, Community Christian Church. Please rise for the invocation and remain standing for the pledges of allegiance.
Good evening. Let us bow our heads for just a moment in prayer. Gracious and everlasting God, we come before you today with grateful hearts, seeking your guidance and wisdom in this time of transition and decision-making for our city. We thank you for the privilege of community service and the opportunity to build a brighter future for all. As we gather following the recent elections, we ask that you grant peace, clarity, and unity to our leaders. May every elected and appointed official be filled with humanity, humility, courage, and strength to lead with integrity. Let the decisions made in this council room honor you and uplift the lives of all in this city. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
And as we transition, I'm going to call on Councilmember Larsdorf to introduce our special guest for the pledge.
Yeah, absolutely. If we can have the scouts from 589 and 195 come up and lead the entire group in the pledges, no pressure at all. Come on, you guys got this.
No way.
Yeah, right around the side. All right, you guys start us off. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor and protect the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible.
Excellent job. Thank you all.
Our first items will be special presentations, including the first one, a recognition for National Nurse Practitioners Week.
Councilmember Elizabeth Beck, this one belongs to you, as also the next one. So we're going to take them both down.
If I could have Vicki and our students join us today. We are joined here by TCU nurse practitioner students. So without further ado, whereas nurse practitioners have served a critical role as trusted healthcare providers for decades, and whereas nurse practitioners work to expand healthcare access in communities across our state, promote health equity and care, and improve health outcomes for all. And whereas patients depend on more than 385,000 licensed nurse practitioners in the United States to diagnose, manage, and treat their chronic and acute healthcare conditions, and whereas nurse practitioners provide a high-quality primary, acute, and specialty healthcare services while emphasizing health promotion, disease prevention, health education, and counseling, partnering with patients to improve their health. And whereas the confidence that patients have in nurse practitioner-delivered healthcare is evidenced by the more than 1 billion visits made annually to nurse practitioners across the country. And whereas more than 5 decades of research demonstrates the high quality of care provided by nurse practitioners. Whereas better utilization of nurse practitioners through the modernized state laws and improved policies create better health through a more accessible, efficient, cost-effective, and higher quality healthcare system. And whereas nurse practitioners serve as the provider of choice for many of Fort Worth and play a pivotal role in the health and welfare of our communities. Now, therefore, the city of Fort Worth does hereby proclaim November 10th through 16th as Nurse Practitioners Week. And I'll give you a couple minutes. You'd like to just share a couple words about what you're doing at TCU and how you're making our community a little healthier.
At TCU, we're working with our NP students to help provide primary care, psychiatric mental health, and acute care. We've been doing this with our graduate students for about 7 years now. And we're super excited and thankful to have the city of Fort Worth recognize us.
All right, thank you. And we'll do a couple of photographs. Did anyone else want to have, anyone want to speak? Are you sure? All right, now's your chance. All right, that is for you.
What's your first?
Thank you.
Okay, and then I have for each each one of you. Thank you for all that you do for our community. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Next will be recognition for National Injury Prevention Day.
Come on down. We've got some folks joining us from Cook Children's today. Dana Walraven and Clarissa Broughton. Did I say that correctly? Okay, all right. So this one's a little shorter, but thank you for being out here today. This is National Injury Prevention Day, and for those of us on the dais, I know we all have young children, and Lord knows we try to prevent injury every day. Some days better than others, but thank you for what you do in our community. Whereas injuries are the leading cause of death and disability to U.S. children ages 1 through 18. And whereas between 2021 and 2023, there were over 10,000 unintentional injuries seen at Cook Children's Medical Center, Fort Worth. Whereas the City of Fort Worth is committed to creating a safe environment, contributing to the safety and well-being of our children, and whereas hospitals, state agencies, and community organizations are committed to their crucial role in reducing injuries and deaths by promoting safe practices. And whereas National Injury Prevention Day raises awareness and promotes efforts to reduce injuries among children, the City of Fort Worth commends the injury prevention team at Cook Children's Center for community health and all involved in their endeavor to protect children from injury. Now, therefore, the City of Fort Worth does hereby proclaim November 18th as National Injury Prevention Day. Thank you. And we'll get some pictures. If you'd like to share a couple of words.
Good evening. The Center for Community Health is so proud to be here today. We solely focus on the health and well-being and injury prevention of children in our community. So on behalf of Cook Children's, thank you for honoring this evening.
Thank you, Dane.
Ready, 1, 2, 3. Thank you. And then for you, thank you. Thank you for everything you do for the community. Thank you.
Next will be recognition to the Cristo Rey Fort Worth High School soccer team.
Councilmember Williams.
Thank you, Mayor and Council, for this opportunity. It's an honor to stand before you today and recognize the Cristo Rey Fort Worth boys soccer team for an incredible achievement. They won the Texas Christian Athletic Fellowship State Final Championship against Fate Lutheran. So let's give them a big round of applause. They won a state championship in just under 6 years of the school's founding, and so that's absolutely impressive. I want to give a major shout out to the leadership of our coaches, Ivan Cate and Rolando Munoz, as well as the athletic director, Luis Astudillo. I also want to give a shout out to the captains, Diego Ramirez and Jonathan Camacho. Where are y'all at? Raise your hands. Jonathan Camacho also was named season MVP, so if y'all can't tell, he is absolutely the GOAT. I also just want to shout out the campus and school Cristo Rey. This championship embodies the true spirit of Cristo Rey, both in character, faith, and excellence. And I'm just grateful to God for what God is doing through each of your lives and through your school and the amazing community of faith that y'all are building. So I have a special recognition for y'all, and it's presented to the Cristo Rey Fort Worth Lions boys soccer team in recognition of the Texas Christian Athletic Fellowship State Championship. We commend the Cristo Rey Fort Worth boys soccer team for earning the title of 2024 state champions. This season exemplifies the dedication, skill, and resilience the team has shown, embodying teamwork and excellence. Under the leadership of coaches Ivan Cate and Rolando Munoz, as well as athletic director Luis Astudillo, the Cristo Rey boys soccer team has demonstrated excellence on and off the field. We also extend a heartfelt appreciation to the families, friends, and community who celebrate this remarkable milestone together. This is presented on this 12th day of November 2024, signed by myself and the Council Office of District 6. Congratulations. Coach, would you like to say anything?
I just want to thank the city of Fort Worth for having us and Dr. Jared Williams for inviting us. Thank you, everybody, all the players, the coaches, everybody put their hard work, and this is what we accomplished, okay? Thank you, everybody.
Congratulations.
We'll take a picture, and then I'll also have a Molly pin, which is the official pin of the city for each of y'all. So let's take a picture, and then we'll pass out the pins. Thank y'all so much. Congrats. Let's get another one.
Next will be recognition for the 80th anniversary of the Pan American Roundtable Fort Worth.
Mayor Pro Tem Bivens will handle this presentation.
Good evening, everyone. And I would ask for you to gather around so people can see your beautiful faces as I talk about the work you're doing and have done. This special recognition reads, whereas the Pan American Roundtables of Texas was founded in 1916 to foster knowledge, understanding, and friendship among the women of the Americas, and became an international civil society at the first alliance of Pan American Roundtables held in Mexico City, Mexico, in October 1944. Long time, you age graciously. Whereas the Fort Worth Pan American Roundtable 1 was founded in Fort Worth, Texas on October 11, 1944, to promote the ideals of the state organization and to award scholarships to local female students to further their knowledge, understanding, and friendship of the Pan-American movement and their sisters in the Americas. And whereas the Pan American Roundtable Fort Worth 1 has been continually meeting annually since it was founded and has studied the countries of the Pan American Union, now the Organization of American States, and has annually awarded scholarships to deserving young students in the Fort Worth area, and blah, 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 blah. Now, therefore, the city of Fort Worth does hereby proclaim October 11th, 2024 as Pan American Roundtable Fort Worth 1 Day. You are to be recognized, honored, and appreciated. But you don't get away without coming to the microphone, so who's going to talk for the group?
Thank you.
Yes.
My name is Kathy Eamon Clardy, and I am the Zone Director for the Alliance of Pan American Roundtables, but also a longstanding member of the Fort Worth Table. In my tenure, we have had 2 conventions here in Fort Worth, the last one being in 2019, And we have, as Mayor Pro Tem has stated, we've been continually meeting on a monthly basis every year, and we give out scholarships, and we are very proud to call Fort Worth home, and we appreciate everything that the city has done to help us in our efforts to promote knowledge, understanding, and friendship among the women and children of the Americas. Thank you for this recognition. Oh, please, this is our current Associate Director. This is Laura Escobedo. We also have Joanne Jensen, known to many of you. She is a past Alliance, you've not been on the Alliance, Pine State Zone Director. We have her mother, Grace Villanueva, who's been a good member. We have the inestimable Beth Dorcas, who is a wonderful member for us and is very faithful and attends all of our meetings. We have Rosa Paulson, who was a member of the table in Rio Grande City, Roma, but moved to Fort Worth and kept her membership with Pan American, and we're now fortunate to have her as a member. And then my lovely sister-in-law, Cheryl, who was a member of the Dallas table. She was a member of Dallas 3. Dallas no longer has a table. They could not keep their membership rights up, but Fort Worth has for 80 years. And so she came to join the Fort Worth table, and we're happy to have her. So thank you very much for this recognition. We appreciate it.
Welcome. Thank you all very much.
I would like to just briefly say thank you to Whitney and Giselle and Councilwoman Bivens and Councilman Flores and Mayor Maddie. And also Bob Jameson for helping us for that 2019 convention we had here. So thank you very much for this.
Thanks, Joanne.
Now, let's take a quick trip. Now, I don't need to be holding the flag. Y'all need- Come on.
Do a 50-50.
There we go. I'm so tall.
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Thank you so much.
We appreciate it.
There we go. So much. Good to see you.
Thank you. We keep bumping into each other.
See you all the time.
Thank you for
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
Y'all take care.
Thank you so much.
Trash.
Next will be items to be withdrawn from the consent agenda.
There are no items to be withdrawn from the consent agenda.
Items to be continued or withdrawn by staff.
We have 2 zoning cases to be continued to November 19th. They are zoning ZC-24-115 and ZC-24-116.
Mayor, that gets us to the consent speakers, and I
you,
believe we
Jeanette.
have 3.
Yeah, we have our first speaker is Bob Willoughby, followed by Adrian Smith, and then David Martinez. Is Bob Willoughby in the room? Thank you, Bob.
You should be in here. I'm in here.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's the way my life is, upside down. When we turn it around. Okay. What this is not what you'll see on the screen up there. It's MC 240978. Before Maddie Park was here, every one of these, each item would be on the screen, and Mary, our city secretary, would read off each one as we went so that you know what we're talking about. Now you don't know anymore, so I put it up for myself so you can see which one I'm talking about, okay? Here's something else. This $92,000 reimbursement for the task force and human trafficking, this is good. But here's what's bad, Maddie, and she lets me say it. You gave Police Fitzgerald $5.5 million not to go to court of our tax money. Wouldn't that have been good to add to this? If we had more people, I think this would help. This is more important.
Great topic of conversation, Bob. Let's just keep it to this MNC.
I knew I'd hit the nerve there, but what I want you to do is just explain why that we didn't use that money for this. It is on topic. $5.5 million for Police Fitzgerald. It didn't do anything for 4 years. Who makes $1 million a year for doing nothing? Okay? Well, you need to explain it, that's all. We don't have a public presentation anymore to ask you these kind of questions, so we got to work it in with these things if we're going to say anything. You run this place like a dictatorship.
Sustained.
Restore order, please.
Anything else on the topic, Bob?
Okay, here we go. Like I said, well, it is on the topic. Look how much more money we could have if you wouldn't waste our money on stuff like that and be honest. There was $4 million went to 2 other employees too, not to go to court. That was $4 million, so that's $9 million total you just gave away 2 months ago of these taxpayers' money.
Bob, you're off topic.
No, it's money that could go to this.
Yeah, we're going to.
Okay, if you want to stop me, but it could go to this, is what I'm saying.
It's great to see you. Adrian Smith is our next speaker, followed by David Martinez.
Adrian Smith, District 6, I am one with the people. For everyone who's following along, who has documentation, I will be speaking on MMC 240970. $10,113,572. 10 million plus. Does anyone want to know what that amount is for? Well, I tell you, furniture. And the furniture that I'm speaking of is as it relates to the new city hall. Now, I understand we are moving on to quote unquote better or changing things, you know, but $10 million? $10 million? So my biggest gripe I had with this particular MMC and many others as it relates to taxpayer dollars that are allocated for things that I consider at times wasteful, because you all have a rubber stamp where you just vote things through without thinking about what's to come down the line. But these renewal amounts, if the first initial amount is $1,500,000, that's to get things started. But these renewal amounts is what just has me kind of on edge. The first renewal amount is $1,725,000. The second renewal, I'll just round it up, $2 million. The third renewal, $2,281,313. And the final renewal is, I'll just round it up to $2,700,000. My thing is this, with these renewals, why do the amounts increase year after year after year after year if the services that's been rendered are not changing? Can somebody explain to us why these renewals take place on these particular contracts if we're talking about furniture? What's going to happen the next year that causes this amount to go up? What's going to happen 2 years down the line that causes this amount to go up? I feel like $1,500,000 is a good amount. But why can't we continue that amount throughout this contract? Why are the renewals always increasing? And it's not just with this particular MMC, it's with all MMCs. So hopefully someone can provide the taxpayers with an answer as relates to my questions. Thank you.
Our next speaker is David Martinez.
Good evening. My name is David Martinez, District 8. I'm here to talk about the human trafficking that's going on in Carter Park. That's District 8, 9, and 11, Seminary Corridor. I know that there's other things going on, and then after the election, I don't know how that overtime money is going to work without taxes being taxed, but that would be good for the 4 PD doing overtime, and then hopefully keep more of their money. And moving forward, I'd like to see that we use some more money and see if we can request for the federal government to help us out with the FBI and the Homeland Security money with Carter Park and shutting down those motels on Carter Park over there along I-35 and Seminary. Those apartments, you know, they're complicit with the human trafficking of the little girls in Carter Park. And I've been there, witnessed it firsthand. And they're so they ignore the situation as many times the officers go there and there's human trafficking, there's prostitution, et cetera. So I'm all for this. I just like to see some of that money be focused there. And I know one of the officers that are working with the task force, so it would help out a lot seeking more funds and help from the federal government. Thank you. God bless.
Thanks, David. Council, that's the conclusion of our consent agenda speakers. I can entertain a motion.
Move for approval.
And a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Please vote. Motion carries.
Next item will be announcements by council, including upcoming and recent events, recognitions of citizens, and approval of ceremonial travel if needed.
Thank you. I'm not sure who has speakers. I'll start with Councilmember Flores.
Thank you, Mayor. Get the slide up, please. All right, top left, Artes Rosa Cultural Center for the Arts celebrated Dia de los Muertos. San Dia de los Muertos brings out a lot of people to the parade. Appreciate the sponsors and participants. Top center, November brought one of my favorite traditions here to Fort Worth, annual Fort Worth Greek Food Festival. And that's at St. Demetrius Church, so Opa, y'all. And then top right, the Fort Worth Film Commission recognized men and women of Fort Worth Police Department for helping our film industry along. And Cattleman's Fort Worth generously offered a brunch for them, so appreciate them. Bottom left, we celebrated the achievements and contributions of the Castleberry Independent School District Partners in Education Board luncheon at Rockwood Park Golf Course. So thanks and congratulations to those students. Bottom center, NFR Showdown at Cowtown Coliseum. We had Charlie Crawford and his National Rodeo's final qualifier. He's the son of a Marine. He was inspired to create this event out of love for the United States and his passion for team roping. So we had a lot of our first responders and veterans participating in that. So thanks to them. And bottom right, delivered a truckload of pumpkins to the Northside Community Center for the seniors' Halloween party. They did a lot of crafts with those. So, thanks to Lowe's for that generous donation. And I believe that's all I have there.
Thank you, Carlos. Council Member Crane, you have anything? No. Councilmember Bivens.
Thank you. You can get the slides up. I really want to thank Kara Waddell from Child Care and Associates for coming to the Stop 6 community over the weekend. I think you can go to the next slide. There's a zoning case to be heard later this evening, and Kara and her team wanted to make sure the community was aware of what and why the change was needed. And we also have to thank Casey Best from city staff, and others were there. And of course, there's Sandy looking over everything. Next slide. Now, the person who appears to be a homicide suspect is in this room right now. Richard Zavala, raise your hand, please. Thank you for celebrating Halloween at City Hall. We had a fantastic day. He really scared me coming at me from the side, but that was such a fun time. Next slide. I guess that's it, Jared.
Councilmember Williams.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Mayor. I have 3 quick slides. First, I just wanted to recognize the unveiling of the portrait, a reveal of Sergeant Billy Randolph. Sergeant Randolph was a beloved member of our Fort Worth Police Department, our City of Fort Worth family, and our entire Fort Worth community. His 29 years of dedicated service will be remembered. And this portrait and the ceremony was certainly an inspiration to all of us. Next slide. I got the chance to attend my alma mater with my council colleague and former teammate, Councilmember Nettles. We got the chance to set up a tailgate and spend time with old friends, neighbors, and principals of both North Crowley and North Crowley ninth grade centers, or ninth grade campus. So it was a wonderful time. Also, I wanted to invite all who are watching to come join us this weekend for both Crowley High School and North Crowley High School's playoff game. They played this past Friday, and both of the teams were undefeated until North Crowley won by a lot, but nonetheless, both teams did very well. So if you are interested, you can get tickets on Crowley ISD's athletics website. Crowley Eagles play on Friday at 7 p.m. and North Crowley plays Saturday at 1 p.m. Next slide. And then lastly, got the chance to celebrate the grand opening of the Ready to Learn in-school market, which was sponsored by The Big Good with the Pattersons, former coach Gary Patterson, and also Tarrant Area Food Bank. And it was just a really special moment for me and Councilmember Nettles, being that this was the school that we would walk to every day for a long time, and to see so many community members give back in such a special way to a campus that really could use this resource was phenomenal. So hats off to all involved. That's the end of my slides. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilmember Nettles?
All right, this is the Evans and Rosedale Block Party, giving information about what is to come on Evans and Rosedale. We're extremely excited about that. Next slide, please. This is the Child Care Associate Luncheon supporting child care in the city of Fort Worth. Next slide. Had opportunity to go to the Youth Leadership Institution at Baxter Junior High School in Everman ISD to talk to some students about leadership, entrepreneurship. It was a great event. Next slide. This is the Barbara Cares Breast Cancer Awareness event, making us aware of what breast cancer is. It was held in the Forest Hill Convention Center. Next slide. The voting canvas to the polls, supporting everyone to get out and vote. Thank you guys for doing your voting civic duty this past week. Next slide, please. You saw that slide already. Jared showed it. Next slide, please. We have a lot of development that is happening in District 8. 250 jobs is coming to southern part of District 8. Next slide, please. Had the opportunity to go to nursing home and celebrate 105th birthday for Miss Franklin. She was excited, talking to us, wanted us to sit down and have some of that cake, but had another event to go to. So we say happy birthday to her again. Next slide, please. The Braver Together annual gala happening in the Evans and Rosedale Plaza, investing back in our community to make sure that there are fresh fruits development that's happening in that 76104. My daughter was my date that night. We also gave Commissioner Brooks one of the awards for his dedicated leadership as he prepares to retire from 20 years of serving. Next slide, please. Braver Together Phoenix was the next day outside in the sun, and I believe that following the slide, the far right was talking to some students about entrepreneurship. Next slide, or is that it? Thank you.
Councilmember Beck.
Okay, next slide. Pioneers Rest had their second annual Fall Festival. That picture on the right, I owe David Cook, our city manager, a huge thank you. It's through some of his partnership fund dollars that together with the folks at the Pioneers Rest Cemetery, we were able to restore that beautiful old gate to one of what is our community's oldest cemeteries in the city. So thank you, David, for allowing that to happen. Next slide. Okay, if you haven't heard, Carpenter's Catering now has a place for you to sit down and enjoy their amazing chicken salad sandwiches, amongst many other things. So if you've not had the opportunity to go and not just get it to go, but sit down and enjoy a meal, I highly recommend you do so. Next slide. And we had the groundbreaking for Thrive on Crawford. Big thanks to the folks at JPS for thinking outside of the box and bringing this affordable housing to the area. It's not something that hospitals are typically in the business of, but we're really lucky to have them here in the community, and they're looking to make sure that they're taking care of everyone, and what that looks like is outside of health, but sometimes it's housing as well. Next slide. All right, it's Municipal Court Week. I'd like to thank the staff, from the marshals to the clerks to the judges, for keeping our municipal courts rocking and rolling. We really do have one of the best municipal courts in the country, and that is all in because of our staff that really works to be that voice in the community. Next slide. Okay, Berkeley Neighborhood Association had their first annual Veterans Celebration. It was really nice and really grateful for them to recognize all of their veterans that live in that particular neighborhood. Next slide. Speaking of veterans, we had the Veterans Day Parade. I was joined by many of my colleagues on this dais. I'd like to thank each one of them for showing up and supporting, showing their support for veterans on Veterans Day. Next slide. We're on a theme here, if you haven't noticed. Our code department has gotten a little creative, and they have come up with a new program. It's called Pause for Patriots. And on November 16th, this Saturday, from 12 to 5 at the North Campus, which is 351 Hillshire Drive, go out. You can get free vaccines for your pups, and but you can for past and present service members, but also you can learn a little bit more about this really unique program that we are spearheading here in the city of Fort Worth. So next slide. All right, November 23rd, we will have the Pumpkin Spice Half Marathon running through downtown. If you are a runner, I am not, but if you are, I'd go on out and get your run on. Next slide. All right, we have the Parade of Lights coming to downtown. Do not miss it. November 24th at 6 p.m. Next slide. If you get there a little early, starting at 2:30, you can take a tour of our old Tarrant County Courthouse with some really knowledgeable folks to give you a little history before you get a little entertainment. Next slide. All right, movie night in Burnett Park, December 6th at 7 o'clock is ELF, and I have heard there's a rumor that Councilman Lauersdorf will bring his Buddy the Elf costume back out just for one night and one night only, and that's all I've got.
Okay, just wanted to highlight some really cool community events that we've been able to attend in District 11. The first is the Fort Worth Police Foundation Annual Awards event. I just want to say congratulations to all the officers and groups that were recognized with awards and those that were nominated. Pictured on the left is a picture of Sergeant Valdivia from Northwest Division. Congratulations to her on her Emma Richardson Award. The middle picture is of the East Fort Worth Business Association and a scholarship dinner. I just want to congratulate them on 50 years of excellence. Congratulations to all the students that were recognized and awarded with scholarships that night. Special shout out to Palladium, who was recognized with the Outstanding Partner of the Year Award. So really excited for them. And the picture on the far right, that is me at UTARI taking a tour. So UTARI is the UTA Research Institute. It's located in District 11, up there between 121 and 820. They do medical research and robotics, and of course it's a UTA facility, but some really cool thing that's going to be happening. They're going to be building a $2.3 million netted drone facility in Fort Worth. And so that's going to be expanding its research and innovation capabilities by building this state-of-the-art outdoor netted drone facility, and they have committed to partnering with organizations within our community. Next slide, please. I was able to join my colleague, Councilman Flores, at the Dia de los Muertos parade. Artes de la Rosa, of course, you heard, organized that event, so it's just a few really cool pictures from that event. Next slide. Some more pictures. And next slide. This past week, District 11 was able to attend the Riverside Middle School Health and Wellness Fair. So that was just an opportunity for folks to come out and introduce themselves and us to them. And so we weren't very healthy that night. You can't really tell, but we had candy on the table. But it was a really great opportunity to connect with folks out there. The picture in the middle was from Community Food Bank Iron Chef Competition. So it's the annual fundraiser for Community Food Bank. Community Food Bank that is located in the Riverside neighborhood of District 11. And so each year they partner with Fort Worth ISD schools for their culinary programs. And this year's winner went to Trimble Tech, so congratulations to them. And the picture on the far right was from the Texas Wesleyan Alumni Awards dinner. Special shout out to JP, Justice of the Peace, Sergio De Leon, on his Distinguished Alumni Award recognition. Congratulations to all those that were recognized that evening as well. Next slide. And if you do not know, Texas Wesleyan is going to the playoffs. So they have they're undefeated. Their record is 9-0. And so this is I guess it's the first time they've earned this bid to go into the playoffs. So I just want to congratulate them, fingers crossed for their next game this Thursday, the 16th, 2 p.m., when they play Louisiana Christian University. Next slide. And there will be a neighborhood improvement program, community town hall meeting for the Worth Heights neighborhood. That's going to be at La Gran Plaza on November 19th from 6:30 to 7:30. So for those that are in the area, please join us so we can talk about, just survey and feedback and how the community would like that funding to be used. Thank you.
Next will be changes in memberships on boards and commissions, with the first item, 24-4580, board appointments for District 2.
Councilmember Flores.
Thank you, Mayor. I ask of you and my council colleagues to consideration to reappoint the following individual, the term beginning November 12th, 2024, and ending on October 1st, 2026. That would be Kathy Hamilton, her second term on the Plan Commission and Capital Improvements Plan Advisory Committee for Transportation Impact Fees. The respective application is attached, and the resume provided is kept there with the City Secretary's office.
Got a motion and a second. Council, please vote. Motion carries.
Next will be 24-4581, board appointments from District 3.
Councilmember Crane.
All right. Request your consideration to appoint the following individuals as directed below, effective November 12th, 2024, and ending October 1st, 2025. Jonathan Lyden, who's sitting here with his wife Reagan, and expectant parents here soon. Thank you. It's a partial term of the Building Standards Commission. Respective applications attached, and resume, if provided, is with the City Secretary.
Second. Council, please vote. Motion carries.
Next item is 24-4721, board appointments at large for the Human Relations Commission.
Council, per the guidelines reflected in the fourth administrative regulation nomination for this board, which pertains to the Diversity and Inclusion Department, we have the following reappointments to the Human Relations Board, including Candace White to her first term, place 10 on the Fort Worth Human Relations Commission, and Austin Parati, first term, place 8 on the Fort Worth Human Relations Commission. All respective applications or resumes are available in the City Secretary's office. Motion and a second, please vote. Motion carries.
Next item is MNC 24-0971 with city staff report by Daniel Miracle.
Thank you, Jeanette. It's actually going to be Cody Wittenberg is going to deliver the staff report.
Well, good evening. Cody Wittenberg, Environmental Services Director. So tonight we're going to have a public hearing and have a conversation about municipal setting designations. And I want to take a moment to sort of set some context around that. And then I'll read a script regarding the official record of this public hearing. And then we'll, of course, hear some comments from the developer and from the community, I believe, about this particular application. So a municipal setting designation is a designation for a property to prevent the use of shallow groundwater. So it's not the groundwater that's really deep in the ground, it's just the groundwater that is perched at the top of the aquifer. And I want to underscore that an MSD is a TCQ process, a Texas Commission on Environmental Quality process, to restrict the use of that groundwater so that it cannot be used for drinking and it cannot be used for irrigation or other potable water needs and resources. So a couple of notes before the public hearing is officially opened. This, again, the MSD is only tied to shallow groundwater. It doesn't address zoning, it doesn't address other environmental challenges, and it doesn't eliminate all the needs to require site cleanup or remediation. And I want to also point out that I was able to attend a public meeting on this on October 23rd, and I was able to receive some of the comments and concerns about this particular application. And I just want to underscore that there is an open conversation that is still probably active even beyond the results of this particular public hearing, that we're going to continue those conversations with the community. So with that, I'll read the official script for the record, and we'll open the public comment period. So my name is Cody Winberg. I'm the Environmental Services Director for the City of Fort Worth. The purpose of today's public hearing is to receive comments to establish a municipal setting designation, or MSD 35 South Freeway, located at 5921 and 5933 South Freeway, Fort Worth, Texas 76134, in Council District 8. The proposed property consists of approximately 57.5 acres and is owned by Bear Holdings LLC. The property is currently zoned I, light industrial, and A5, one-family detached residential. The chemicals of concern identified in groundwater are arsenic, lead, and manganese. The subject property has historically been used for waste deposition of inert iron slag, foundry sand, and baghouse dust, which are believed to have contributed to the groundwater impacts. The groundwater is shallow, perched, and discontinuous and occurs at depths of approximately 9 to 14 feet below ground surface. The affected shallow groundwater is underlain by several confining limestone layers that serves as a regional aquitard, preventing the vertical migration of the chemicals of concern to underlying potable aquifers. A public meeting was held on October 23, 2024 at 6 p.m. at the Highland Hills Community Center, 1600 Glasgow Road, Fort Worth, Texas. In advance of the public meeting and today's hearing, written notice was sent to property owners and municipalities within 1/2 mile of the MSD boundary and to owners and public water supply utilities with groundwater supply wells within 5 miles of the proposed MSD boundary. Following the public comments in this public hearing, the Environmental Services Department offers to you for your consideration the adoption of M&C 22 MSD-035, including the attached resolution and ordinance, thereby establishing CFW MSD 035 for a TCEQ application.
Thank you, Cody. Any questions from council before we proceed with speakers? If not, we'll move to Justin Toon, followed by Jerome Carlos Johnson.
Evening. Good evening, Mayor Parker, council members. My name is Justin Toon. I'm a resident of Fort Worth and part owner and developer of the subject property. We are a small business. We purchased the property end of last year. Sits at the southeast corner of I-35 and I-20. As Cody pointed out, we are here to discuss the MSD, which is one of the initial steps in the TCEQ's voluntary cleanup program. The purpose of the MSD is to de-restrict our property's access to the shallow groundwater. The MSD was created by TCEQ to prevent monitoring unused groundwater for extended periods of time. And that was in consideration that our city's drinking water is piped in from nearby lakes. The standards for the cleanup program and thus the property are set by TCEQ. The City of Fort Worth Environmental Services staff has done a great job running the process and confirming that our testing and reporting was consistent with those standards prior to this evening. The contaminants on the property are metals, which are not considered migratory, therefore low risk for the groundwater. We've attended 2 public meetings to answer questions and educate on what an MSD is. We believe that we've provided all information and answered all questions. The City of Fort Worth has approved 34 of 34 of the previous MSD applications prior to this evening. I want to reestablish that this is not a referendum on the project itself, and that the zoning has been in place for 65 years, since 1959. The residential zoning creates a 14-acre residential buffer between the light industrial zoning on the property and the neighborhood. And discussions are ongoing with the city about making that 14-acre residential area a green space. But I also want to point out that the city will not consider, I was told the city will not consider a potential transaction without an MSD in place. Our goal is to partner with the city and develop a property with a project that both the city and community will be proud of, and the property that will create hundreds of jobs for the city and generate millions of dollars in tax benefit over its economic lifespan. I appreciate your consideration in supporting the MSD and advancing the cleanup effort of the property. Thank you.
Thank you, Justin. Our next speaker is Jerome Johnson, followed by Daniel Adams.
Good evening, Mayor Parker and council members. My name is Jerome Johnson, president of the Highland Hills Neighborhood Association. And I'm here to speak on behalf of the Neighborhood Association. If you guys don't mind, I'd just like for all the members of the Highland Hills community that are present to stand up real quick, because I only have 3 minutes. Wave your hands, Ms. Gibbons. I know you can't stand up. So we are here this evening simply to say that we are against approval of the MSD. And honestly, we're against the development altogether, simply because our community is already surrounded by industrial development. We have industrial development to the east, to the south, and now they're trying to add to the west. We are aware that it's already zoned industrial, but just because it's zoned that way doesn't mean that something has to be built there. Because I understand that in this capitalistic society, they're trying to make a profit, but I don't want them to make a profit at the expense of the health of our community, because again, we are surrounded by industrial development already. My concerns are not only with the developer, and I'll be honest with you, there are some trust issues here. We don't trust that the developer, is being 100% truthful about everything. We don't trust TCEQ, and honestly, we don't trust the city of Fort Worth because of the fact that we have years of history to support not trusting the city of Fort Worth. Here's the thing. What's going on in Highland Hills is nothing more than discriminatory zoning practices and environmental racism. It's not a coincidence that industrial zoning in this city and most cities in America is quite often, if not always, in close proximity to Black and brown communities. So with that being said, I'm going to give you back 30 seconds or so and just say that we are in opposition of the MSD and we are unequivocally opposed to the development, period.
Our next speaker is Daniel Adams, followed by Aubrey Bari. You can proceed, Mr. Adams. Thank you.
Yes. My name is Daniel Adams. Madam Mayor, Council. I oppose the creation of a can't speak.
You're doing just fine.
A hazardous waste, I'm sorry, in Highland Hills. The printout you have is from some of your experts about the old Trinity Valley Iron and Steel location off of Montgomery Street here in Fort Worth. And I think the city is going to spend either $40 to $60 million to hide those barrels that are full of contaminants. And my main concern is lead. And your experts are saying lead should not be put in the ground close to residential areas. It should be put in a hazardous landfill. So I hope this is not this meeting is just not formalization of something that's already preconceived. So please take an opportunity to consider not allowing those hazardous materials, especially lead, to be put in the groundwater. And that's based on your own experts that's done the research over at the Trinity Valley Iron Still. And I know that there was lead put in those barrels at Trinity Valley Iron Still, because I used to frequent that place for other businesses. So I'm not sure, from my understanding, you guys are going to put a 20 feet concrete barrier wall to contain those barrels from falling off the wall that they're doing now. And that originally was a hazardous waste dump area. So hopefully, instead of moving your waste to Highland Hills, maybe they contain it where it is or find a landfill that it can go in. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Adams. Our next speaker is Aubrey Berry, followed by Malik Austin.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. My name is Aubrey Berry. I am a member. I live in Highland Hills. I've been living in Highland Hills since 1970. The area they're talking about is not fenced in. It has, let me see, iron, zinc, manganese, chromium, lead, chromium, copper, zinc. Zinc, yeah. So these poisons all added together, these corrosions. And so I believe they far exceed. And this letter that was granted in 1970 something and expired in 1980 was the last time it was really licensed. They said they covered it with clay, soil, not a clay cap. So I'm opposed to the MSD. Thank you.
Good evening to the mayor and council. There's a lot of time, in 3 minutes, do not yield the floor. Again, what we asked of them on July 24th they didn't explain that was our first meeting, was July 24th. He omitted to tell you that our District 95 representative, Nicole Collier, was present, along with our NAACP, Estelle Williams, was present at the first meeting on July 24th. And we explained to them with arsenic, lead, cadmium, manganese, cilium, silver, zinc. They also identified these levels were too high. How I know? I'm a resident, been a resident there for a long time. TCEQ stopped them development periods for 68. They pumped the water out that pond in the early 90s. So as you go, Mayor, as you flip through page 2, these containers were metal rust. I'm an EPA certified technician, Clean Air Act. So I've taken the class, I'm certified, I know about these things. What I'm appalled about with this MSD, that this Bear Holding is not being truthful, they're not being transparent, they shielding any exposure to the ground level, surface level. They only went 2 or 3 feet. Okay, if you're going to clean up, you got to move the earth. The earth gonna move. The earth don't stay settled. Okay, this is not a geothermal polymer cap that we use today. It's 5 layers to that. It's like clay, a thick plastic material, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you backfill with water. Was it done back in 76? Some of y'all wouldn't know because you weren't born. So what I'm saying is that we say no. Y'all don't even want us blowing leaves down the drain. It has to go somewhere. So my father graduated from TSU, engineer, highway department. James said you don't build on top of contamination. I got friends that work for the water department. They are not gonna let you tie in to anything that's contaminated. So I ask you that you vote no with prejudice. Mayor, I ask you that you vote no for prejudice. Mr. Nettles, I ask you vote no with prejudice. Councilman Nettles, I ask you vote with prejudice. Everybody on this dais, vote no. Thank you.
Next speaker is Eunice Givens.
You skipped Jerome Johnson.
Isn't there, I think Jerome already spoke, so there was
Oh,
two. Yeah,
okay.
gotcha.
Evening, Mayor and City Council and City staff. I am Eunice Gibbons. When I started down here, I was young, but now I'm old. I've been coming down here so long, 36 years. And I disagree. We don't need this stuff coming in our neighborhood. I've been down here talking about everything you put up negative to our community. We need more, whatever. Economic development. Because this, I tell you, I'm just sick and tired of this. I am disgusted. We've been coming down here for I don't know how many years. My husband bought me a home in Highland Hills with clear air, clean, we could breathe. Now we can't even breathe. You put I-20, I-30, all, even Campbell's Drive, around our neighborhood. Try to take part of our park. And we said, no, you can't have, I've been fighting ever since we moved out there. We're supposed to have peace and love in our neighborhoods. They'll keep on fighting it. Every time we look around the city, gonna put some kind of negative, and I'm very angry because I'm tired of it. I don't intend to spend the rest of my life coming down here telling y'all to stop putting stuff around our neighborhood that's not good for us. We live there. We raised our family there. We are people. You act like we're not. We breathe. All of us have to breathe. You know that? God made us to breathe. And we want clean air, clean water, want everything else you got. Stop doing this to us. I mean, stop it. Thank you very much. Okay, Mayor, you never did drop the train from whistling all through the night. All right. Have a good day.
Thank you, Ms. Givens, for being here. Our next speaker is Adrian Smith.
Let me see my time. I need my time.
I have it in there 3. Just started at 3 again. Try. I don't know. I guess maybe it wasn't popping up there. Adrian,
Thank you.
Can you see it now?
The community has spoken. It's to my understanding that 2 meetings have already taken place between the community of Highland Hills and developer Bear Holding LLC. It's also to my understanding that the community in a unified front have declared their opposition to the developer's proposals as it relates to the safety, protection, and continued sustainability of the community. The land that was purchased for potential development is contaminated and would become an environmental hazard to the livelihoods of those within its boundaries, should it be disturbed. Does the developer Bear Holdings LLC consider the lives of those that would be impacted by such a disturbance of importance, or its desires to make a profit from said development? I truly think the city of Fort Worth owes it to communities which have horrendous zoning practices designated for them to not authorize any future sales of property which is deemed hazardous against them. I'm sure if this was District 3, 4, 7, 9, or 10, which have a higher standard of zoning, the developer's proposals wouldn't be a part of the mayor and council agenda. Staff has already spoken, so I digress to the person who holds the seat. I ask the council member of the district to deny with prejudice the developer's request, and if not a denial with prejudice, to explain to the community why the developer's proposals are good for them. And we still didn't even hear what the developer is planning on putting on this property, all right? I also was told that there was a presentation that 34 of these MSDs have already been previously approved. You know, this kind of was like putting the community space at the meeting, you know, letting us know, yeah, 34 have already been approved. But we know what districts they are in: 2, 5, 6, 8, and 11. Fort Worth, it stops here. It stops here. One statement that was made previously in the past is, things happen, we wasn't born at that time. But guess what? As it precludes to your current life, when you were born doesn't matter with what you are doing with your life now. So, in closing, I know we don't like to hear the term racism. We just stick with racism, because you know that's the big one. I know we don't like to hear the term racism. The term racism is not just a term, it's still a fact of life.
Councilmember Nettles, that's the conclusion of our speakers this evening.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm gonna ask Cody to come back up, please. And so we heard about the contamination that's in the ground. If development is built on this ground, will that ground be disturbed to allow the contamination to get into the airwaves?
That's a great question. So as a part of this process, as the developer continues to work with the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality through what they call the voluntary cleanup program, they will have to work together with the state to create what is an action plan for cleanup, a cleanup action plan for the property. And so they may be required to disturb dirt in order to excavate some of the soil that's contaminated as a part of that plan. But through that process, they would be required to manage the soil, manage the stormwater runoff, and to control this through a soil management plan, any disturbance, to hopefully limit any impacts from that as they were doing the cleanup.
Okay, and after this is step one. Step two is they actually have to go to the state. Can you articulate that for us again?
Absolutely. So again, the MSD is a state process. It's managed through the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality. And so if the decision is to support their application with the ordinance, that completes their application to the state. Without the ordinance, they cannot move forward with that state process. At that point, they would move on with a complete application to the TCQ, and the TCQ would then work through the documentation they've provided to understand the conditions of the site with respect to, again, just the shallow groundwater, and identify if the state was going to issue that MSD or not. And if that's issued, then that deed restriction goes into place so that no one ever uses this shallow groundwater again for drinking water or irrigation or other potable water sources. The key here is that it doesn't end with the MSD. The developer, the TCQ, would continue to have to, and with or without the MSD, will continue to have a conversation about this site, which we know has contamination and has had contamination for many years, as they work to achieve a level that is standard then available for some sort of development. In this case, I think they've proposed a warehouse that would be leased out to a party in the future.
Development on this land, because we do know that this was a dumping ground at some point of time. Development on this ground, does it clean up the area?
So with that respect to that TCQ plan, we would anticipate that the TCQ will come up with a plan with the developer that would again be a site remediation plan or a cleanup action plan to improve the conditions of the site. We also would ask that the developer, as the new owner, would continue to manage the site, prevent illegal dumping, mow the area, and clean things up and to a standard that's more acceptable, and would continue to work with us and the community as we move through this particular project site. Again, the zoning is already in place as industrial zoning.
Great, I'm aware of that. Let me ask, just stay close, I'm gonna ask Justin to come up, because I believe there was a presentation. I don't wanna hear the presentation now, 'cause we should have had it at first, but can you come up? Do we have a presentation? Okay, I think it's on one of those slides, and I want to talk about the green space, because I think it's important.
Can I control this? Okay.
Can you explain that slide to us, Justin?
Sure. So this is a preliminary plat that has been, that is not yet complete, but this is, that's what this is sitting on. And you can see the residential buffer area, the 14 acres on the east side. And then you can see the balance of the property on the west side. So what we presented at the public meeting was this diagram that kind of shows the two separate zonings. We are not, the cleanup program, you know, happens before any type of site design. And so, again, this is a general building location. We don't know where the final building location is going to be, but as you can see, there's a pretty far distance between that and the neighborhood. But we also know that that residential buffer is between those zonings.
Justin, did you just say, okay, when you explained this to me the last time, I want to be clear if I heard you correctly just a few moments ago. The outline of the green line is the proposed location, but you just stated that you do not know if the building is going to be there or not?
That's correct. I mean, we develop projects. I mean, we're developers, so we understand what kind of setbacks are going to be required at this point. But we have not gone through a site planning because there's a grading plan that has to take place as well. So there's a lot of work to be done before a site plan is finalized. However, that building location, because of the circulation around the building, it's going to be 900 to 1,000 feet from that neighborhood.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Did you have a question?
I do. Is that okay? Yeah, sorry. Thank you. I think Jared is too. Okay, I'll start with, I think Cody alluded to this, if Dr. Wittenbergen's going to come back to the microphone. This was a hard one to answer because I know this is really a TCUQ process as to why this kind of feels disjointed for the council. If this motion is not granted tonight, what recourse does the developer have in working with TCUQ to move forward?
So if this application is denied, they would have to wait 12 months in
Okay.
order to come back with another MSD application to the city to go through that MSD process.
Okay.
But regardless of whether it is approved or denied, the developer is going to have to continue through that voluntary cleanup program with the TCQ to identify a set of standards or a set of steps to
Yeah.
clean the property up.
Okay. And to the extent for those on the dais that are not environmental scientists like yourself, try to describe the condition of the site today. I know it's undisturbed and before development, but what concerns do you have for that particular site without environmental remediation?
Absolutely. So the key concerns really are the heavy metals that are in the soil and the heavy metals that are in the groundwater, and working to prevent anyone from ingesting that groundwater. We don't want anyone to drink the groundwater. We don't want anyone to ingest or of the soil, so that they would not get those heavy metals into their bodies. And so with respect to this site, the site is largely vacant. It was clearly used as a dumping ground for a long time. There was a body of water for some time on the property, and we know that from the late 60s, probably through the 90s, there was some level of dumping on that property, again with these heavy metals, which has caused the contamination today.
And is it your understanding in working with TCEQ and the developer as part of this MSD process They would need to remediate all those heavy metals out of the potential groundwater issues that you said were experienced, or the landscape in general.
Correct. So a couple of pieces to that. So with respect to the groundwater, the key is that no one is ingesting the groundwater and that it's not migrating into that deeper aquifer to be getting into access for like groundwater wells and types that people are using for drinking.
Right.
So in this case, no one is really using everyone is on the city water system. They're not drinking the groundwater, especially in this shallow area. But with respect to the containment, if TCQ identifies that the monitoring is complete and everyone understands the conditions of that groundwater, they just want to make sure that no one is accessing it and that deed restrictions in place so that no one will use it in the future. They would not require that groundwater, say, to be pumped and treated or for those metals to be removed. They would just be off limits, so to speak. With respect to the soil, that would be a different conversation. Again, that's unrelated to the MSD itself, but it is a part of that greater conversation about a site cleanup plan. So we would anticipate that TCQ would require cleanup to the standards that are in place for commercial and industrial properties with respect to each of the 7 metals, the 7 heavy metals that were in the soil column.
And do you know the map that Justin showed just a moment ago that depicted potentially a buffer zone, a residential 14 acres for green space? What is the condition of that property today?
So from what the records we have today, we don't see that any of the contamination was a part of that particular tract. It
Okay.
seems to have been dumped closer to the highway frontage.
I-35, yeah.
That's correct. And so we would hope that that green space is able to be preserved and conserved as a buffer zone, as a barrier, if you will, between the highway and this particular site development and the neighborhood in the future. And we hope to continue conversations with the developer to identify a path forward there.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Williams?
Cody, I have a couple questions for you. Thank you for briefing us on this. So just to clarify, if this site isn't developed, the contamination still exists?
So we would expect, now that the data is available that identifies what has happened in the past and what the current conditions are with contamination, we would expect that the owner and the TCQ will work together and that the TCQ will require the owner to take actions to remediate, because once you know that there's contamination present, you have to take remedial steps in order to make that improved. So regardless of the MSD or not, regardless of the site plan moving forward as a warehouse or not, whoever owns this property is going to have to work with TCQ to do some cleanup on the site.
And then what impacts is this property having on surface water, like Sycamore Creek, I believe, runs through there? What impacts does shallow groundwater contamination have on our surface water?
So at this point, it all appears to be contained or moving very slowly, and we would not expect there to be any major connections to a surface water. Of course, we have, there's times where erosion occurs, there's times where surface or stormwater is running off the site, and we would hope that green space and buffer zones and some of the cleanup would help to deter or remediate or make better some of those aspects.
Thank you. And is the groundwater and surface water flowing to the neighborhood, or is it flowing away towards I-35?
So it seems that the groundwater is migrating towards I-35 away from the community. Again, groundwater moves very slowly.
Okay, thank you.
Any additional questions, council? If not, turn to Councilmember Nettles. Go ahead.
Thank you, Cody. Just want to highlight a couple of things tonight from what I heard. And I have heard this before, how Highland Hills has been surrounded by industrial parks being built. And I would have you know, those who understand when those parks were built, as one alluded before, some of us was here on council, and some of those individuals promised the neighborhood dollars, and Mayor and I worked hard to get those dollars donated back to Highland Hills, which we were successful in doing that because we know how important Highland Hills is. Also, when you talk about zoning that's taking place, within the first 1 to 2 years on council, I did a council-initiated zoning to fix some of the issues on the back end of Highland Hills to make sure that the zoning was correct, and it showed Highland Hills as an A5 neighborhood. There's great work that we have to continue to do at the frontage of Highland Hills, which is privately owned by individuals who are refusing to sell. When we talk about this MSD particular, I think it was a great idea for the parcels of land to go into negotiation next to the A5 to establish green space, which we know, Mayor, you have stated we want more green space. And I know that Code and his team is working through a grant to be able to do that, as well as provide trails and walking and make sure, because one thing that I did hear in that meeting when we was there is that that area needs to be cleaned up right behind those homes. I'm having a hard time now because some of the things that were presented tonight just wasn't clear. And I think it's only right, you can have a broad idea or location of what you want to do, but some things need to be certain. And so that gives me a little heartburn tonight. I understand that it's already zoned to do what you need to do. But if we don't know exactly where the building is going to be, that's just a red flag for me. I was understanding that the building was going to be where the green arrow was. And you said it's not. You don't know. So that doesn't set well with me. Because one of the things that we cannot do is write a blank check. So I'm having some heartburn on that. So what I'm going to do tonight, I'm going to deny this without prejudice.
Got a motion and a second, council. Any other discussion? Yes, Mayor Pro Tem?
Councilman Nettles, I support your motion. I don't know if the votes are there, but I support that motion. I was waiting to hear from the councilman of record before stepping in. I don't know how many of you, especially the developer team, saw news accounts recently about a dumping ground on Randall Mill. Anybody see that story? Whole bunch of tires. I don't know how long they had been dumping, but it took 2 years to get TCEQ to act. And so I'm not real optimistic about TCEQ being aggressive unless there's somebody pushing. And in this case, who was pushing was people on the east side. And when they called my office, I didn't mind talking to media, but I made sure they knew TCEQ was in charge. I would submit to you right now, but for that agitation, TCEQ would not be involved in discussions right now. And so I would rather see more certainty. And council member, if you don't get the votes for a denial, I'm even okay with a continuance. I think we need to hear more from the state rep to see what she based her opinion on, which came late in the day. So it just leaves us at an awkward standpoint right now. But Dr. Wittenberg, and I know you prefer to be called Cody, you know how we've been dealing with TCEQ, and you know I offered to go knock on their door, their own gravel, because they weren't moving fast enough for my constituents. And so when it comes to issues like environmental justice, environmental racism, I'm about saying that you do have to take extra steps to make sure protections are in place. And that's why I support the motion. Those are my comments.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Any other discussion, council? Got a motion and a second on the floor. Please vote. Motion carries.
Next item is SP-24-010.
Councilmember Williams, we have one speaker on this item, Thomas Bartkowski.
I sure know how to clear a room. Good evening, Council. I'm Tom Bartkowski with Westwood Professional Services, 500 West 7th Street. I'm representing Duke Companies in the development of Rock Creek multifamily. This is a site in South Fort Worth between Chisholm Trail and Brewer Boulevard. I did bring a presentation, if we could show it, but I'll fly through it if we can. Do y'all have that?
We can see it,
No,
yes, sir.
that's not it. It was
Not
a
it.
PowerPoint presentation, kind of. Yeah, okay, here we go. Oh, touchscreen, okay, next slide. Okay, it's.
Hold on real quick. Out of fairness to Thomas, can we restart the time for him?
Yeah, sorry. So it's South Fort Worth. It's in between Chisholm Trail and Brewer Boulevard. It's a multifamily project, about 14 acres. It is already zoned high-density multifamily. This is what our site plan looks like. We have quite a bit of open space. There's an existing ag pond that we're going to utilize as a residential feature. Open space, we've got about 42% open space on this site. We have 7 buildings, apartment units. They're 3 stories tall. We have a clubhouse in the center. We have garages on the exterior. There are some carports on the interior. This is just a general overview of our landscape plan. You can see the existing ag pond here. Over time, the ag pond has kind of blown through the berm that kind of retained all the water. So we're going to restore that berm, let that ag pond fill back up a little bit, and use that as an amenity for the residents. This is what the apartment facade is going to look like. Our client is willing to work with the council and city staff to make some modifications to the facade. So we have a couple of different options. Our goal is to really present something nice to the community and the city, and we're more than happy to work with city staff and the council. This is a view of our clubhouse. This is the clubhouse area and the amenity center in the center with the swim pool. There's canopies, meeting rooms. This is another view of the courthouse or the clubhouse area. This is a view from Brewer Boulevard. This is our apartment complex in the background. The whole frontage will have vegetation and screening. This is another view of Brewer. And let me just move on to Chisholm Trail. So this would be Chisholm Trail southbound. Our plan is to put a wrought iron fence around the entire site and some screening plantings to make this look like a nice development. And I'm more than happy to answer any questions.
Thank you.
that you have.
Councilmember Williams?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Thomas, for the presentation. Thank you for all of the work that you've done over the past few months with the continuances. At first, I had some apprehensions, and y'all met with staff on the site plan, so thank you for that. Y'all addressed all of those, including enhancing the landscape plan.
Sir.
I will say on the record that because it's in the Rock Creek development, because it's so close to Charlton, it's very important that we make this project a success. And I know that y'all haven't finished everything that y'all need to, and y'all be working with our office and staff to do that. I can't stress enough how critical it is that this project is successful. And I would be very fearful of what happens if it's not successful. So continue to work with staff on this. I know there's some things outstanding, and so please, please, please continue to do your best to work at that.
Yes, sir. And I should ask, we are cooperating with our adjoining property owner to the south. There's a big floodplain out there. We've already had conversations with them. We know how important it is for council to have that area look nice, look like a cohesive development. They're more than willing to work with us too.
Excellent. Thank you. I'm glad to hear that. With that, I'll move to approve.
Second.
Motion a second, please vote. Motion carries.
Next item is ZC-24-063.
Thank you. And Councilmember Martinez, we have two speakers on this item. The first is Felix Wong, followed by Phyllis Allen.
So, Mr. Wong, I don't know if you want to have any remarks. I have spoken with the developer, and they are asking for a 60-day postponement. So if you'd like to say anything, you can. And I also spoke with Ms. Allen and let her know that this was going to happen, and so I'm guessing that's why she's not here. But Mr. Wong, would you like to say a few words, or I can just make the motion?
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Wong.
And so with that, I will make a motion to grant a 60-day postponement to allow the developer time to go through the holidays and make significant site plan changes for something that's a little more compatible with with the neighborhood and local community, and to remand the revised site plan to zoning commission for a second review and recommendation. And that would be, if I'm not mistaken, January 8th.
Council, please vote.
Remanding to zoning a 60-day postponement for January 8th. Or maybe I shouldn't say postponement. Is that right?
Just to clarify, do you want to approve the zoning case but remand the site plan to the zoning commission, or do you want to remand the entire case?
I want to remand the entire case to zoning commission and add it to the January 8th agenda if that's the correct date.
The council agenda date would be January 14th.
No, this would be zoning commission date, though.
Zoning commission would meet on the 13th, I think. Is that right?
Yeah, I don't have their schedule in front of me.
So maybe to a date, yeah, perfect.
So the
January zoning
remand would move it to the next zoning commission meeting, would be the December meeting. If it receives a recommendation at the zoning commission meeting, that would put it at the council's next
It
meeting.
sounds like they want more time than that.
They want
correct?
60 days.
Okay, so January zoning.
To the January zoning commission.
January zoning commission meeting.
Perfect. Okay. I've got a motion on the floor to remand the case until January for zoning and February for council. I've got a motion, a second. Please vote. Motion carries.
Next item is ZC-24-090.
Councilmember Beck, we have one speaker on this item, Adrian Smith, and I think you have, go ahead. Okay, yeah, good point.
Okay, so I'm speaking on this particular zoning, case 24-090. I see that there's a denial for this. However, I think the purpose in which this is on behalf of the Ultimate Church of Christ, Mr. Rob Foster, whose name is attached to this, is for a group home. And let me read into record: a family-based facility which contains no more than 15 residents and 3 supervisory. Hold on, first of all, this is the will of the Most High God in action. A family-based facility which contains not more than 15 residents and 3 supervisory personnel, in which provides 24-hour care and protected living arrangement for the mentally and physically impaired. I think my Bible, when I read my Bible, I think my Lord and Savior, he dealt with those kind of individuals. The the developmentally disabled or victims of abuse or neglect. I think within my Bible, he dealt with those kind of individuals. This classification includes congregate living facilities for the elderly, maternity homes, emergency shelters doing crisis intervention for victims of crime, abuse, or neglect, and residential services licensed by the Texas Commission on Alcohol and Drug Abuse, but not primarily for criminal rehabilitation. So this is a group home. It's serving a purpose, a great purpose. And although we see the denial from the zoning commission, we all know that you all had a discretion to override it. So if there is some opposition to this particular group home, again, it's serving a great purpose. You know, it's trying to help people. It's here to help people. And I believe that they will have individuals in place to ensure that the operations of this particular facility goes forth as it should. So the denial is there. But what are you going to do, Ms. Beck? You blink, you bat in your eyes, and this and that. I get it. I get it. But what are you going to do? Will you be willing to give this particular project further consideration if there's no, if there is opposition to it? Or would you, within your serving capacity, give this church an opportunity to provide some type of hope as it relates to this group home? It's your decision. So I do not yield any of my time. So hopefully, this project goes forth. And if not, maybe you should consult with the Lord to see if you can do something going further.
So I'm going to move to continue this case to the December 10th council meeting to allow us to have one more neighborhood meeting. Thank you.
Motion and a second, please vote. Motion carries.
Next item is ZC-24-124.
Councilmember Bivens, our first speaker on this item is Letha Roblo, followed by Miss Amy Handy. Here? Excuse me? Okay, thank you. Miss Amy Handy? Hi, Amy. Amy will be followed by Kara Waddell.
I've never seen Miss Roblo timid.
I have an assistant, or I'm an assistant for her today. Put it down. Good afternoon. My name is Amy Handy, and I represent.
And my name is April.
Excuse me. As you can see, I did put both of our names on the ballot. You are able to take one of our names off, and that would be for us to speak together, if that's okay.
Of course.
We're coming here as a grandmother and a granddaughter. Back in 1983, I was a mother that had a baby at a teenage. I did not know what CCA was at that time. I was about 16 and had a baby. My mother helped me, and she put this baby in there. 30-something years, I lost a child, and I had to find help.
Yeah, I need to do my affirmation.
I know. So I went back to CCA. I also went back to the neighborhood mom and pop daycare. And so, Miss April, how many schools have you been to? How many schools have you been to?
2.
Which school? Name your schools for me.
Angel School and Family School.
Do it again.
Angel School and Family School.
She said Angel School and Family School. April, which one do you like in the Stop 6 area?
Both.
Both. April, will you do your affirmations for the Mayor Maddie Parker, and the council members? Your affirmations start with A, if you can assist us, because this is the product of CCA and our neighborhood schools in the Stop 6 area.
Yeah.
And sorry, go ahead, April.
Hi, I'm April Tyler, and I'm 5 years old, and you and I are A, amazing, B, beautiful. C, courageous. D, dependable. E, excellent. F, fierce. G, gorgeous. H, humble. I, intelligent. J, joyful. K, kind. L, lovable. M, meaningful. N, nice. O, higher opportunities. P, perfect. Q, quick. R, faithful. S, strong. T, terrific. U, unique. V, I am very unique. W, wonderful. X, extraordinary. Y, I always mean to continue God. And Z, I am zealous. As zealous I be. Thank you, God. I always think because of you. Do you have any questions?
Great job. Awesome job, April. Kara Waddell will be followed by Mary Nell Poole. That's a tough act to follow,
That's a
Kara.
very tough act to follow, for sure. We did not coach her. I did
Yeah,
not know what she was sharing
yeah.
today. So we want to thank, do want to give a quick shout out today to Mayor Parker and Councilwoman Martinez and Councilman Crane for joining today for a ribbon cutting at our Riverside neighborhood. And you have a little handprint and a little rock of gratitude. Please use those rocks appropriately. Someone's like, you're going to give rocks to city council members? I said, I am. So thank you for the opportunity to personally engage the historic Stop Sticks community as it relates to the zoning overlay. We were appreciative to meet with the neighborhood association there. We want to thank Mayor, of course, Pro Tem Bivens for her support and help. Pastor Michael Morris here as well. Ms. Roblo, our campus director, she has been working in the Stop Sticks community for 55 years with young children as well. So it's important that we hear from the neighbors in Rayner. Today, I believe you have the slide. I can give it to you also if not. Sorry about that. This just overlays, this gives a quick image of the 8-classroom campus, very early rendition for the Stop Sticks community. We'll have a chance to be able to meet with community members to understand more. And then we also have laid out some of the activities we've been able to undertake from May 2024 through November 2024, which included postcard mailings in the area and the aforementioned community meeting. Thank you again, Councilwoman Bivens, for joining with that. We also have a letter of support from Pastor Moore, as well as a signed LOI with the church next door, so that they're able to use the parking lot. Assuming that all this is approved and moved through, they would benefit from being able to use a nice paved parking lot next door, which we're glad to share. Welcome any questions.
Thank you, Carrie. Any questions, Councilmember Bivens?
Kara, I just want to thank you for the time you spent. I think the community outreach got off to a rocky start, but you made it up, and you made it up powerful with impact, and I can't thank you enough for coming to the community. Now, whoever wrote that big old ugly sign about me, that we need streets and not a huge daycare operation, they're going to be headlined in my District 5 newsletter. I'll be sure you get one. It's a teachable moment. And what I tell them is this is not the way to get new streets. There's a way to do that. But I appreciate you guys for coming. So the only request I have of you, I've already voiced it, that report that I wanted. So I'll be looking forward to that. And with that, I'm ready for the next speaker.
Thank you. Mary Nell Poole will be followed by Michael Moore. Thank you, Mary. Our next speaker is Michael Moore, followed by Adrian Smith.
Mayor Parker, council members, Mayor Pro Tem Bivens, I'm here to support it, and I just wanted to make sure that if there were any questions from the community or if council had any questions, I'm here just to answer questions. I echo the same sentiments. CCA went out of their way to try to accommodate the community and meet with the stakeholders in the community. And so I feel very good about it. I welcome CCA. They joined our neighborhood association as a partner. And so we look forward to welcoming them into our community.
And Pastor, are you here representing the neighborhood
I'm
association?
sorry. Yes, I am. I'm here to represent Historic Stop 6 Neighborhood Association, which I'm the president of.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
that's it?
Yes, sir.
Is that it?
Our next speaker is Adrian Smith.
I stand in total support of this particular project, having looked at the site map and the landmass that it will be developed on. I think it's a very befitting project for this community. It not only will beautify the community even further, but it will ensure that our youth continue to have an opportunity to live, thrive, and become all that they desire to be in this given life. We know that so much is against our youth in this present day. Their innocence is under attack, and the protections for them have seemingly failed in various parts of our society. But thank you to Child Care Associates for all that you have done for this city throughout the years, and your continuance to provide the opportunity for the babies to become all that they can be. The young lady that's inspiration right there. If no one else could, if you couldn't get nothing else from that, you can get inspiration. And we all have been in her shoes, you know, because we all haven't been the ages we are. So let's be mindful as we go forward to think about the babies first when we're making decisions as it relates to our city. If it's something that's going to impact our city, think about the babies and their future. Because we know that once a decision is made, oh brother, it's hard undoing them. It's hard undoing them. So thank you. The zoning commission, thank you. And yeah, this is a part of being one with the people. This is a part of being one with the people. So this is my city, and I will continue allowing my presence and my voice to be something for this city and the people of this city and the children of this city. So let's continue this momentum forward. Let's continue it. It doesn't matter who it is. It's up to you all. Thank you.
That's the conclusion of our speakers. Mayor Pro Tem Bivens.
Thank you, Mayor. One thing I want to share with the public is the importance of the critical need for quality child care, not just in Southeast Fort Worth, but throughout the entire city. And who delivers that better than any other agency is Child Care and Associates. Kara, I know how closely you are working with some of the independents. I've introduced you to LaShonda Davis. I think you will find her quite refreshing. She is the president of this group of independents, and they have a name. It's Inner City Child Care. I forget, but thank you for that. When you hear about how children cannot read, and you follow the other life of our mayor, that being an advocate for early child learning, and she and Pete Guerin and others have dragged me into that argument that I thought I'd never find myself in. But I am very concerned about the state of education for our babies throughout this entire city. I don't have the numbers right now, but I can tell you, Kara has the data that shows what needs are not being met, where the need is, and how they propose to help fill that need. But it's going to take all of us to recognize there is a need. And the key word is quality. You can't just drop your child off somewhere not knowing what's going on with that child. Everyone needs to be able to recite, as we heard young April did. But I have been around children, and they don't have that capability. And so with that, I enthusiastically move approval of this case.
Second.
Motion and a second. Council, please vote.
Mayor, for the record, due to my wife's employment with Child Care Associates, I'll be recusing myself. But if I could vote, I would 100% be supporting it.
As
Thanks,
you
Kara.
should.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michael.
For the sake of home.
Vote in spirit with us.
So you know. Right. That's a quick way to
Motion carries.
Next item is ZC-24-023.
Councilmember Martinez, we have one speaker on this item, Letitia Wilburn.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Letitia Wilburn. I'm with Echo Heights Neighborhood Association, Fort Worth Environmental Coalition of Community, and Echo Heights Stop 6 Environmental Coalition. I'm speaking tonight in reference that I'm asking you guys to deny this with prejudice. This particular location is an eyesore to the community. And the zoning needs to remain what it is. Something positive needs to go there. We have children in this community. This community is not even a neighborhood. It has been zoned an industrial growth center. And when Highland Hills got up and they spoke about environmental justice, this is it. Echo Heights is so bad. We have children, they have nothing positive in this community to look at. And I'm sure most of you guys up there are parents. And for our children, there's nothing. And I know sometimes we get up here to talk about Echo Heights, and some of you have smirks, and I'm not trying to make y'all mad, but it's offensive to this community when you have a community that's not even a neighborhood. Like I said, it's an industrial growth center. There's nothing good for the children to see in this community. Nothing. If you want to see environmental justice, and this is a city of beautiful people, but the zoning practices are racist. I grew up seeing white only, black only signs. When I go to my neighborhood, not much has changed. This is one of the most racist areas. It's a small community that is almost totally industrial. And this need to stay, y'all need to start putting something positive over there. Like I said, we have children. Most of y'all are parents. Think if this was your children. People in our community are fighting to live. We're fighting to have a peaceful life. We're fighting for other communities that live off the freeway like we do, that don't have the mess that we have because they're not black and brown. We are fighting for our children. We're fighting for our senior citizens. This is going to, Echo Heights, people around the country have heard about Echo Heights. This is going to go down in Fort Worth history as a black eye, as an eyesore. This is one of the most racist things, and I'm asking y'all to deny this with prejudice and allow something positive to start coming into this community. We're trying to push back. And I know the previous spoke about not trusting the developers. I know Ms. Martinez came to one, and we had developers show up without being invited.
Councilmember Martinez, that's the conclusion of our speakers on this item.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to uphold the recommendation of staff and zoning commission and motion to deny ZC 24023 with prejudice.
Motion and a second, please vote. Motion carries.
Next item is ZC-24-065.
Councilmember Nettles, our first speaker on this item is Hazel Prophet, followed by William Turner.
Good evening. My name is Hazel Prophet, and I own the lots at the center of the request for rezoning change and Hazel's back porch, the restaurant I will build there. I graduated from Eastern Hills High School, class of '81, and I received my bachelor's degree in accounting from the University of Texas at Arlington. I grew up in the Eastwood Stop 6 area on Burton Avenue. Burton Avenue is now a strip mall, and a grocery store. So I know a little bit about how rezoning can affect the neighborhood and its residents. Today and in the future, my vision for my property is to build a legacy for my family and make positive additions to the history of the community that shaped me. To me, Hazelback Porch is more than a means of income. It is a way to honor the hard work of the ancestors who poured everything into their Fort Worth neighborhoods. And it is a stepping stone for the future generations of my family. I have seen firsthand how areas like ours can be overlooked, or even worse, overrun by outside interest and don't prioritize the people who live there. That's why I'm committed to using my properties to bring value to the community and creating space where the local businesses and residents feel supported and empowered. Last month, after saying they thought the development was a great idea, the Zoning Commission recommended this case for denial based on what ifs. Like, what if my business failed? What if I sell the property? But to me, those aren't real considerations. The success of Hazel's Back Porch is, if I must take steps to safeguard this legacy, such as placing the property in trust with stipulations on the uses and sale, then that is what I will do. My plan B is to make plan A work. And I'm fully committed to the business success and to using it to benefit the community for generations to come. Okay, one of the key factors of success is allowing safe and legal alcohol sales for the restaurant I plan to build. This will not only make the business financially sustainable, but it will eliminate any thought of selling the property. By doing this, I can create a strong foundation that supports my family and contributes to the validity of Southeast Fort Worth for years to come.
Thank you, Hazel.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is William Turner.
Good evening. I believe I had a slide presentation I sent, I think. Hope you got it. Okay, thank you. Good evening. My name is Will Turner of Tie Group, Inc. This proposed zoning change will allow for the safe and legal sale of alcohol as part of food service, which I will show is vital to the success of a new small restaurant. At our zoning commission hearing, as Hazel just said, several commissioners expressed their belief in this project and offered kind wishes for its success, but ultimately recommended us for denial. I failed to make them understand how critical alcohol sales are to the success of a new restaurant, and hopefully these numbers on the screen right now will help you understand that. The lifeblood of any business is its profit margins, and the profit margins for alcohol sales in the restaurant business are frankly staggering. For wine, it's a 65% profit margin per pour in the restaurant business, all the way up to 85% profit margin for liquor and cocktails. On average, general profit margin of a restaurant that only sells food is about 3 to 6%, while a full-service restaurant that offers alcohol sales sees profit margins between 10 and 15%. But it's not just about the bottom line. People want alcohol sales with their meals. 7 in 10 adult consumers indicated that the availability of beer, wine, or cocktails makes them more likely to choose a restaurant that offers those over another. And of course, we want this business to be successful not just now, but in the future. The future is young people, and over 40% of Gen Z and millennials who ordered takeout in the last 6 months included an alcoholic beverage in their order. We met with Councilman Nettles, who offered his support for this development, for this zoning change, and we thank you for that. He expressed his support for small business development, particularly those that are minority and woman-owned, provided that the neighbors agree to it. To that end, we met with several neighborhood associations, received endorsements from many of them, including the Historic Southside Neighborhood Association, Hillside Neighborhood Association, and East Fort Worth Business Association, and the Belmont Neighborhood Association, which is closest to Ms. Proffitt's site. We, of course, approached the adjacent homeowners and got their input on this project as well and support. This project, as Ms. Hazel Proffitt stated, is about establishing a legacy for her and her family. Let me go on to this next slide. Her vision is to create a landmark of positivity, sustainability, and small business success on the South Side, to be environmentally conscious. And we believe and are certain, honestly, and these numbers prove, that alcohol sales will do this by attracting a larger customer base, supporting a larger variety of community events, and increasing the overall economic viability of this development. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to your approval for the zoning change request.
This is the last of our speakers.
Thank you. It was great meeting you, Ms. Hazel, and thank you for doing what I requested you doing. And that Plan B was really good. I have one for you tonight. I said my church, the more no's you get, the closer you get to a yes. So I move to approve this for you.
Motion and a second. Council, please vote.
Welcome to the South Side.
Motion carries.
Next item is ZC-24-070.
We have no speakers on this item. Councilmember Martinez. Motion and a second. Please vote. Motion carries.
Next item is ZC-24-085.
Councilmember Martinez, no speakers on this item either. Motion and a second. Please vote. Please.
Next item is ZC-24-098.
We've got one speaker on this item, Councilmember Bivens, just in case she looks, well, there you go. You got approved. You may not want to speak. Mr. Schomburg. I think he's good. He's going to sit back down. Okay, I've got a motion and a second. Please vote. Okay. Charlie, try again. Charlie, try one more time. Sorry. Thank you. Motion carries.
Next item is ZC-24-103.
We have one speaker on this item, Councilmember Flores, but only if there's opposition. To my knowledge, there is none. Mr. Jacob Warren.
Yes, Mayor, move for approval.
Motion and a second. Please vote. I need some revived coffee right now. Right. Motion carries.
Next item is ZC-24-105.
Councilmember Beck, we do have one speaker on this item, only if there's opposition, and to my knowledge, there is none. Mr. Stephen Cook. Got a motion and a second, council. Out of abundance of caution, due to my employment cook children's, I will abstain from this vote. Please proceed. Motion carries.
Next item is ZC-24-109.
Councilmember Williams, we have a few speakers on this item. Our first is Lydia Ricard, and followed by Adrian Smith. I didn't see Lydia here.
Sure,
Okay.
Lydia's going to speak.
Okay.
I spoke to her earlier.
Okay. Okay, yeah, make the motion, yeah.
I don't think the applicant's here, but we met with them, and I'm not in favor of the current use, but he respectfully asked for a 60-day continuance to meet with Como to look at a townhome use instead of what they're proposing. So I'm going to continue this for until the January zoning meeting.
Okay, thank you. Motion and a second, please vote.
Motion carries. Next item is ZC-24-111.
Councilmember Beck, we have no speakers on this item. Motion and a second, please vote. Motion carries.
Next item is ZC-24-112.
Motion a second, please vote. Carries.
Next item is ZC-24-113.
Okay, council, please vote. Motion carries.
Next item is ZC-24-114.
Motion a second, please vote. Motion carries.
Next item is ZC-24-122.
We have no speakers on this item. Councilmember Nettles. Motion a second, please vote. Motion carries.
Next item is ZC-24-123.
Second, please vote. Motion carries.
Next item is ZC-24-128.
Motion and a second for approval, please vote.
Next item is MNC 24-0977.
Second, please vote.
Next item is MNC 24-0951.
Entertain a motion, Councilmember Williams. It's just an MNC.
Move to approve.
Motion and a second. Please vote. There we go. Motion carries.
Next item is MNC 24-0958.
Councilmember Hill.
I move that the Fort Worth City Council adopt the resolution authorizing use of the power of eminent domain to acquire 0.011 acres of land in the right-of-way easement and 0.006 acres of land in temporary construction easement from real property owned by Gillis Johnson II LLC. The subject property is located at 6021 W.J. Boaz Road and 7328 Gillis Johnson Street in the Lake Crest Estates Addition. In addition to the City of Fort Worth, Block D, Lot 2, Unit 1, Tarrant County, Texas. The land rights in the subject property are needed for the W.J. Boaz Road Widening Improvement Project, a public use that provides for roadway improvements, including pavement reconstruction with curb and gutter, drainage improvements, streetlights, shared use paths, and reconstruction of the existing roundabout at Bowman Roberts Road. The property interest is to be acquired, is described by the meets and bounds, and depicted by survey exhibits attached to this mayor and council communication.
Second.
Motion and a second, council, please vote. Motion carries.
Next item is MNC 24-0960.
Member
Yep.
Crane.
I got a motion here. Lawyers getting paid by the word here. I move that the Fort Worth City Council adopt the resolution authorizing use of the power of eminent domain to acquire .012 acres of land in right-of-way easement and .038 acres of land in temporary construction easement from real property owned SEJ Asset Management and Investment Company. The subject property is located at 6001 Camp Bowie Boulevard in the Chamberlain, Arlington Heights Edition, in addition to the City of Fort Worth, Block 46, Lot A through R, Tarrant County, Texas. The land rights and the subject property are needed for the Camp Bowie at Bryant Urban Intersection Project, a public use that provides for intersection improvements at Camp Bowie Boulevard and Bryant Urban Road intersection. This project consists of adding exclusive left turn lanes for northbound and southbound lanes on Bryant Urban Road. The project will also add dual left turn lanes for the westbound lane on Camp Bowie Boulevard. The roadway improvements will increase capacity and improve geometry at the intersection. Property interest to be acquired is described by meets and bounds and depicted by survey exhibits attached to this mayor and council communication.
Motion a second, like you're getting punked on that one. That was a bad one. Motion carries.
Next item is M&C 24-0954.
Try again, Michael. Oh, he's not there. Just, yeah. Motion carries.
Mayor, that concludes all of the action items.
Thank you, and meeting is adjourned.